I'm here to help you go through this depression. The reason why you feel so much resentment, feel so scared and so powerless is that you blame too much. You have a victim mentality, where everything in your environment exists for the sole purpose of attacking you. And that is a very distorted reality, because most people don't care. They have their own lives to live. And I know a lot of times this isn't voluntary, more like a trauma response from childhood, like a form of self-protection. Video here if you want to solve that. But it is painful to live in that state, where you never really feel safe, and you are always confused with reality, and you don't feel like you are capable of something. If you want to stop feeling like that, I will point out the 4 habits that lead you into this mindset. And if you stop doing them, you will see your life change like day and night. Before starting, I would like to ask you to like and subscribe and share, because if you have depression, you know how that's like. So it might help someone. You aren't alone and you are capable enough, so share. Now let's start. So the first habit is the most simple and is the one who cripples people the most. It leaves you poor, miserable and alone, and that is blaming. Even if justified, it doesn't really add to your life. Think, if the government is corrupt and the people are toxic and you are sick, pointing that still doesn't change a thing. After all that blaming, you are still poor, alone and sick. You are still miserable, just with a little bit more of resentment. And if you have self-love, you know it isn't wise to allow those feelings to grow, because that will just put you back into depression again. But this isn't as strange as you might think. It comes from getting stuck on one fundamental question that every human asks, which is why? Why am I failing so much? Why does nothing work as I want? Why do I have to live like this? And if you don't have the answer for this, your brain just makes them up. That's why people with a victim mentality have a very distorted view of reality. And that's why blaming isn't a good habit, even if justified. It just feeds this illusion born out of your confused emotions. But of course, you can't just stop asking questions. And the solution I came up with is change the question. Instead of why, ask how or what. How can I get what I want? How can I solve this? What does make me happy? And once you get used to wonder about things like this, you stop being stuck in this hole of self-pity and you start climbing out of it, building the ladder out of your depression. Because you aren't revolving about this argument that just creates more resentment. You are finding a path. And that's like day and night in your life. Because you break the curse I see so much people in, which is they complain and blame everything and drain themselves emotionally, have a depressive episode and procrastinate on the TV, on the phone, and then do the same thing next month, stuck in this cycle that never ends. That's why I say blaming is pointless even if justified. Knowing the answer isn't enough to take you to a new place. And that is the biggest difference I see between poor and rich people. People with money are constantly asking how, all the time. And poor people are still stuck on why, which isn't their fault. Most of them never had a good example to copy, like the father shouting at the TV, or the workers talking behind the boss's back, or the girl group bad-mouthing others. So we are constantly pulled into these habits of complaining, which is the next habit I will talk about. Being with people that complain too much will 100% make you miserable. Because complaining is a very narcissistic behavior. It isn't about finding the solution. It's not about others. It relates to loneliness and control. When someone complains to you, it's because they want to feel heard. They want to feel that they matter. But the problem here is that that needs to come from oneself and not from others. Otherwise, it's just an endless race of seeking external validation. A life just about pleasing others. Is that a life you want for yourself? And the other consequence is that it makes the people listening miserable, which ends up working for the person who is complaining. Because if both people are unhappy about their lives, they have something to connect on. The problem here is that if that's based on misery, that's all that's gonna come out of it. And that's why you should keep away from these kinds of people. You are already depressed. Do you need more people that push you into that? But of course, this isn't easy, because they aren't the strangers that roam around the streets. A lot of the times, they are actually our fathers, our mothers, our brothers and sisters. So people you can't easily remove from your life. But again, if you love yourself and you genuinely wish the best for yourself, if you hope to get out of depression and attain happiness, you need to leave. Because they aren't a positive presence in your life. They will just keep you stuck in their own misery. A saying that fits very well here is misery loves company. So you need to break free from these people, no matter who they are. Even loneliness doesn't damage your life as much as these people. But also, it isn't that mean to do this. Because if you leave when they complain, you don't reward the wrong behavior with attention, making them lose motivation to keep doing it and stop making themselves miserable and pulling other people into it, pushing them into another path. This is a good example where being selfish is actually better for you and everyone around you. So you don't have to feel guilty about it. Think about it. I also have a video about releasing people from your life. But try these two for a week, like a time off from your resentment and frustration. Just leave it there. It will still be there when you want to pick it up. But I can promise you, you will see a big improvement in your life. You'll see your mind go into new directions, which helps your depression. Because if you aren't always munching on what's wrong, you have time to wonder about new things, exciting things, things that keep you out of your depression. And we will continue this next week.